Recording.
Hi everyone, my name is Gareth. I'm one of the therapists at the Epic Approach. Really disappointed that I'm not able to be there today to Christian's talk, but I'm sure you're all finding it extremely beneficial. Christian's basically asked me to give a short talk about health and disease and how and why it's important to you. And before I get started, I just want to make it clear that all these ideas and theories here are just to give you some perspective about the environment, disease, health, and kind of what it all means. So I'm not saying anything here is necessarily right or wrong, but just to help you understand more about why we think what we think and other views that are present but may not have been told to the majority of people. So modern medicine is based upon germ theory, which is brought to us by a chap named Louis Pasteur, who was a French microbiologist and chemist along with some of his colleagues. Now, germ theory simply states that the presence of germs, bacteria and viruses cause illness. And this is where the idea of catching a cold comes from. And the reason why we pasteurize milk is after Pasteur himself. The idea that if we heat the milk up, we kill off the bacteria and it's healthier for us. So it's basically the idea that germs invade and we become ill. So Pasteur was not the first to suggest this idea, and there is some controversy in the fact that many people have argued that some of his work was actually plagiarized. Now, whilst germ theory has now been accepted and is the basis of modern medicine, and having saved millions of lives without a doubt, I think it's important to also consider other views and how they actually might all tie together for us. So around the same time that Pasteur was doing his work, there was another French chap, another scientist. His name was Antoine Béchamp, and he had an alternative view as to the cause of disease, which he called the cell theory of disease. Now, in his time, Béchamp was hugely successful. His theories were accepted by the brightest minds at that time, and in fact, I think it took 8 pages of a scientific journal to list his achievements on his deathbed. So he was widely accepted, a very highly sought after chap. Now, his theory stated that it was not the presence of the bacteria or the virus that caused the illness, but the health of the tissue in which it was present. So he used the analogy of soil, and that without healthy soil or bodily tissue, at a cellular level, then bacteria would thrive in these environments and disease would ensue. So we don't catch the disease, we essentially build it, and bacteria are the building blocks that are present at the time. They're kind of just the innocent bystanders. So in a state of real health, where you have kind of good healthy soil, the presence of these bacteria wouldn't be harmful or they wouldn't cause an issue because there's no what he called dead cells for them to thrive. A theory he called polymorphism. The immune system would work and would have dealt with them. There's also records of many scientists drinking vials of bacteria to no effect, which was his kind of proof, if you like. The argument might be that a healthy immune system is able to fight the bacteria off, which is true, yes, but this can only happen within a healthy body. Realistically, when we look at it, we breathe in around 14,000 germs and bacteria an hour, and we live healthy lives for the most part. When we're stressed, run down, and our health is not up to scratch, these bacteria then tend to thrive, and we do indeed get ill. Our environment immediately changes our expression of our health. So how many times do you hear of someone taking antibiotics to deal with an infection, only for the infection to keep coming back? Considering this new theory would be to argue the point that the bacteria isn't the cause. It's just an underlying lack of health or kind of different environmental factors, and the illness or the symptoms is the body trying to get rid of toxins, toxic tissues, hence runny noses, fevers and sweating. It's all ways for us to clean out our system, and these are viewed on the surface as symptoms, but what we fail to see is the reason for their presence, their benefit, or else why would the brain or the whole body just decide to do that? It's not for no reason. This is often why it's better to encourage the process of elimination instead of suppressing it through medication. So for example, if you have a common cold, some of the best things you can do to keep things simple and effective are hydrate yourself with as much water as you can, open the window at night because we need cold air and cold temperature to monitor our thyroid, which is something I'm sure Christian's going to touch upon, and actually a little amount of food. Up to 40% of our energy is actually focused on our gut lining. So we want to maintain energy for this, what is termed the healing crisis. So there are many benefits to fasting, if you like, whilst ill, which is different to when you're not ill. It allows our body to focus its energy to the immune response, as digestion requires so much energy. So this is the argument that we need food for energy, or the argument of that isn't necessarily true, because we've got plenty of stores to keep us going. We actually need to maintain high levels of cortisol, which peak in the morning, for as long as possible throughout the day when we're having this healing crisis, to enable efficient cleaning to take place. So as soon as we eat, this level drops and all the blood supply gets dumped into the gut through what are called splanchnic nerves. And this is why people who have migraines are often better once they vomit, which is something that we're all familiar with but don't know why. And it's because as soon as you vomit, the blood pressure drops on the head and things improve. So the vagus nerve, which is at the base of the brain, detects the pressure changes in the head and causes a reflex to occur. Now these splanchnic arteries, the big blood vessels to the gut, open, they drop that blood pressure and they relieve the pressure in the head. So that's why vomiting works so well, and why we need to maintain our kind of food throughout the day to monitor blood supply to the gut. So modern society has this kind of get-go attitude to being ill, see it as a nuisance and we must suppress it and get on with our day. Now in my opinion this couldn't be more wrong. What we need is rest. We need no food, we need to let the process occur without the distraction of digestion and potentially supplementation of vitamins to encourage the process further. So I guess what's important to try and take from this is that we need to be extremely mindful of building health from within us and not just fight off what we see as illness caused by an external pathogen or virus or bacteria, and take some more responsibility to become healthy in order for these problems to not arise in the first place. What's interesting as well is that when we look into more modern research into fields such as epigenetics, which is something I'm sure you're going to touch upon as well, is how environmental factors change our actual genetic makeup and structure. Now, since our understanding of DNA and genetics has improved, there's actually been this major shift whereby if something is genetically predisposed, then that was it was job done, there was no chance. Whereas now it's been shown that through changes in environmental stimulus, down to the thoughts that we have, the food that we eat, the place that we live, things can change. So in my opinion, yes, genetics are important, but it's never one thing. It's multifactorial. It's a combination of things that we need to be mindful of in our environment to maximise our health and live a healthier life at a cellular level. So to summarise, when you're feeling the symptoms of what is termed illness, minor illness, then take it as time to arrest. Allow a process to occur, encourage it naturally, and don't suppress these symptoms with the use of Nurofen to keep going on with a stressful day, with adrenal glands that aren't working, and stimulants to keep you going. We need rest. So, eventually it'll come back to bite you. If you have a cold and you suppress it, it may return as bronchitis. And then if you suppress that, so on and so on and so on. So yeah, that's plenty from me. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.